The city that disappeared overnight. There are ruins scattered across the world that people visit every year. Broken walls, collapsed temples, fragments of something that used to matter. Most of them follow a pattern. War, invasion, natural disaster. Something happened. Something explains why they were abandoned. But every now and then, you come across a place that doesn't follow that pattern. A place where nothing adds up. No signs of destruction. No evidence of a final battle. No clear reason why people would leave. Just silence. And one of the strangest examples of that is the ancient city of Angkor. At its peak, this wasn't just a city. It was one of the largest urban centers on Earth. A place built with such precision and scale that even today, it raises questions we still don't fully understand. Massive stone temples, perfectly aligned. Structures, water systems engineered so precisely they could control floods, store water, and sustain millions of people. This wasn't primitive. This was advanced, highly organized, deliberate, and for centuries, it thrived. The Khmer Empire built something that wasn't just impressive. It was dominant, powerful enough to shape the region, advanced enough to outlast its rivals, and stable enough to support an enormous population, which makes what happened next harder to explain, because at some point, something changed. Not suddenly, not violently, but gradually, almost quietly. The systems that once worked perfectly started to fail. The same water networks that controlled the environment became unpredictable. Floods where there shouldn't be floods. Droughts where water used to flow. The balance started breaking. And when that happens in a city built on precision, everything feels it. Food supply becomes unstable, infrastructure weakens, pressure builds. But even that doesn't fully explain it, because cities have survived worse. History is filled with places that adapted, that rebuilt, that pushed through collapse. But here, that didn't happen. Instead of fighting to maintain it, people started leaving, slowly at first, then more noticeably. Entire sections of the city left behind. Temples once filled with activity became quiet. Structures that took decades to build were abandoned. And the strangest part, there's no clear evidence of panic, no mass graves, no signs of a desperate final stand. It doesn't look like a collapse. It looks like a withdrawal, like people made a decision to leave, to walk away from something massive, something powerful, something that had defined their entire world. And that raises a different kind of question. What makes a civilization walk away instead of fight to survive? Because this wasn't a small village. This wasn't a temporary settlement. This was an empire's center, and yet, over time, it emptied. Nature started reclaiming it. Trees grew through stone, roots wrapped around walls. Structures that once represented power became part of the jungle, hidden, silent, almost erased. For centuries, it stayed that way, lost, until it was rediscovered. And when people found it again, it didn't look destroyed. It looked paused, like something had been left behind, not broken, just abandoned. And that's what makes it different, because most ruins tell a story of force. This one tells a story of decision. Something shifted enough that staying no longer made sense, and leaving became the better option. Not instantly, not dramatically, but inevitably. And that's where the real mystery sits. Because when you strip everything back, it forces you to think differently about collapse. We like to imagine civilizations fall in obvious ways. War, disaster, something visible, something clear. But what if that's not always how it happens? What if sometimes things don't collapse all at once? They erode, systems weaken, pressure builds, confidence fades, until one day, people just stop believing in it. They stop maintaining it. They stop holding it together. And once that happens, it doesn't matter how strong it used to be, because the structure isn't. What holds a civilization together? The people do. And when they start leaving, the outcome is already decided. That's what makes places like this unsettling, because it's not just history, it's a pattern. One that doesn't rely on destruction. One that doesn't need a single defining moment. Just a series of small shifts, small failures, small decisions that lead to something much bigger. And by the time it's obvious, it's already too late to reverse. That's why this place matters, not just because of what it was, but because of how it ended. No explosion, no final battle, no clear line where everything changed. Just a slow, quiet disappearance. And the only thing left behind are the structures, the scale, the evidence that something massive once existed. And the question that still doesn't have a clean answer: why did they leave? Was it the environment, the failing systems, internal pressure, a shift in power, or something more complex that we still don't fully understand? Because when something this big disappears without a clear ending, it leaves a gap, a space where explanation should be, but isn't. And maybe that's why it still draws attention, because it challenges the way we think about collapse. It shows that not everything ends with a moment. Some things end with a process, one that's easy to ignore while it's happening, but impossible to miss once it's done. And by then, all that's left is what couldn't leave. Stone structure, silence, a reminder that even the most powerful systems don't always fall apart. Sometimes they're simply left behind.